Happy Sunday evening to everyone. Hope you guys are all doing well and have had a great weekend. Let's talk, guys. There's some good news coming out. Okay. Don't forget, the reason I'm here is to help you guys, and I will be opening up a bank to help you guys exchange your dinar, and I will have some amazing investment opportunities within the bank, and I will also be opening some businesses after the rate change as well. I will be doing lending, real estate investments. Um, if any of you guys are already working in the real estate business where you live, let's talk. I'd like to talk to you guys and see if we could do something or partner in your area. Okay, from anywhere from purchasing investments to lending on these real estate opportunities, writing loans, that kind of thing. Maybe even writing some insurance. Okay, I will also be doing mergers and acquisitions. So there's a lot of things I'd like to partner with you guys and talk to you about. There's a lot we can do together. Um, so as you guys remember, in November, after Iraq approved the borrowing law, I told you guys there was nothing left for Iraq to do other than just change the rate. But I told you that they really weren't going to pretty much change the rate till the about the end of their year, most likely in March, guys. Okay, because I told you they were and are walking in Kuwait's footsteps, and as you guys see, that's panning out to be true. There was quite a few people that disagreed and were thinking it might happen around December to January. But as you see, that information's incorrect. As you see, Iraq already gave you their fiscal year when they did the borrowing law, because the borrowing law was to fund the deficit coming from the reforms, which the reforms are taking place in their fourth quarter, which is now January through March. Okay, and Iraq has already given you guys the rate change date, guys. They've literally given it to you. Iraq pretty much has CPAs and bean counters, guys, running their central bank. Okay, dates are very particular to those folks. They told you they were going to implement the reforms in January, and they didn't. They did it exactly on Sunday, December 20th. Okay, the rate can only change on a Sunday. And so what they did was they implemented a 90-day tool. Exactly a 90-day tool. That was the reduction of the rate to withdraw and bring in as many 3-0 notes as they can 90 days before the rate changes. That's exactly what it was, as a 90-day tool to reduce the note count. Okay, so again, and now I want you guys to think about something. I told you all through last year the rate could only change on a Sunday, and they devalued the currency on Sunday, December 20th, because that was a 90-day tool. So there you guys go. They just keep confirming exactly what I'm sharing with you guys. Okay, those of you that have been with me, I've always told you that the rate could only change on a Sunday, and that's why they devalued the currency on December 20th, because they're going to change the rate also on a Sunday, or increase the rate on a Sunday, but they're pretty much going to do it historically when Kuwait did. Okay, so there you guys go. You guys already know the rate change date because they've given it to you. All right. This is one of the original articles back from December 20th, guys, when they devalued the currency. Okay. And if you notice, around this time frame was when the IMF and the World Bank started showing a large presence and working with Iraq. Think about that carefully, guys. The reason why, kind of from December going forward, when the IMF and the World Bank started showing a large presence working with Iraq, is because they were preparing Iraq, guys, for the rate change. Okay, that's what this is all about. It's just, these steps are preparation and stage setting for the rate change. That's why they implemented this 90-day tool of devaluing the currency on December 20th. Okay, so that's what this was. I just wanted to show this to you, and here's even a calendar showing you that that December 20th was indeed a Sunday. Okay, because that's what I told you all through last year, that the rate would only change on a Sunday. They devalued on a Sunday in preparation so they can increase on a Sunday in March. But you guys already know the date. I don't have to tell it to you. Okay, you guys are smarter than that. Now, we have some good articles for you. Remember, I just told you that both the World Bank and the IMF since they devalued in December, are now showing a very large presence of working with Iraq, and they are preparing them for the rate change now because Iraq has achieved stability. That's why I told you once they approved that borrowing law, which was to cover the deficit reforms, once they did the borrowing law, their next step, that's preparation for the rate change, okay? So let's move forward. The World Bank determines the size of the financial portfolio in Iraq and unveils a global initiative to recover smuggled funds. Okay. Today, Sunday, the World Bank confirmed that changing the exchange rate gives the state the ability to increase its revenues. And when they say changing the exchange rate, guys, they're actually not talking about what they did on December 20th. They're not talking about decreasing. They're talking about increasing, and I've got more things to prove and show that to you, okay? And confront import from abroad, and while noting that its financial portfolio in Iraq, in Iraq currently amounts to $2 billion, it revealed a global initiative that the World Bank is working on to recover money from smuggled countries. The special representative of the World Bank mission in Iraq said in an interview with Iraqi News that the partnership relationship between Iraq and the World Bank is very close and based on years of joint work, pointing out that Iraq has a position very important at the Arab and global level, and that the World Bank was next to Iraq in the various stages of stability and peace, or in the stages that were subject to attacks of changing in economic conditions, which led to difficult repercussions on the Iraqi government and people. And the actual work began with Iraq, I think, in the 2 years, 06 and 07, through a group of projects. He added that the World Bank's portfolio in Iraq currently amounts to $2 billion and that these loans were signed about 2 or 3 years ago, noting that the main pillar in it is a loan to rebuild liberated areas, and the request came after the beginning of the first phase of liberation, that is the liberation of the Salah government. The debt was then supplemented with an additional amount after liberating the rest of the governates, and that this current portfolio in Iraq includes projects under the implementation and projects or loans due that the World Bank is working to implement projects associated with them. He indicated that the World Bank has teams working on the issue of cultural heritage and has a simple project in Mosul that may start soon, and noting that the World Bank was at the same stage looking forward in rebuilding Mosul, and I personally, when the issue was raised, and I was continuing to develop a comprehensive plan for the reconstruction of the city. I want you guys to think about something. Guys, Mosul was leveled in, it was not before 2017. It was either around 16 or 17, I think in 17, guys, because the ISIS war ended in December of 17. So I want you to think about something for a second. Why are they, that was 3 years ago. Why are they talking about this now, 3 years later? Rebuilding Mosul when it was destroyed 3, if not 4 years ago, okay? Back in either 17 or 16, okay? Why is this taking so long, guys? Because remember, I've always told you, and I told you guys this all through last year, that the reconstruction was part of the reforms. Because all of this can only be, this loan money from the World Bank and the IMF can only be paid back with internationally recognized currency, and that's why I've stressed to you guys the repayment of these reforms can only be with that internet with Iraq to have internationally recognized currency, and that's why I've stressed to you guys the reconstruction is married to the rate change, waiting on it. It's part of the reforms, okay? So here's just more proof right here of everything I've told you, that literally the reconstruction, they're talking about it now in Mosul, but again, because they can only make the payments can only be paid with internationally recognized currency, that literally the reconstruction, which again is part of the reforms, is waiting on and married to the rate change. Okay, just more proof of that. My view was crystallizing that the city like Mosul is a global heritage, so why should Iraq not present an ideal reconstruction project as an international competition to which most important companies and universities will be nominated to lay down a guideline for its reconstruction, even if it's in the long term. So there you go. They're just kind of planning and preparing reconstruction now because it's part of the reforms. But again, it's married to the rate change, guys. That's why it's coming forth now. Okay. Loan size. Newman explained that the World Bank loans are aimed at a large reconstruction project accompanied by a project in the liberated areas that targets the social sector, noting that the World Bank has allocated $400 million for reconstruction projects divided by 2 projects, the first with 150 million countries and the other project at $250 million. The World Bank has also a project with the Baghdad municipality for water and sanitation amounting to nearly 200 million, and a project in the electricity sector in the Basra Governorate with 200 million. So as you guys see, when they write these contracts, they're writing them based on dollars, not dinar. Okay? That way the rate, that way they can hide the rate and not reveal it publicly, because regardless of whatever the rate of the dinar is, okay, it has to equal the amount of US dollars that they project for in the contract. So as you see, the contracts are based on US dollars, which hides the rate of the dinar. So I'm just showing that to you right here. They're pricing all of this in US dollars. That way the rate of the dinar is irrelevant to this. Okay. He continued that the World Bank has a social and economic project that works on all of Iraq and is heading to a local communities called the Social Fund for Development with the value of 300 million. There you go. More stuff contracted and projected in US dollars. There are other projects including planning, financial management, and financial management organization. The World Bank goes towards reconstruction projects, human development projects, and capital capacity development. Al-Bashir also goes to economic reform projects. He explained that the World Bank seeks to put the project that is being proposed in long strategic framework with a specific vision and open up opportunities for the future of employment and investment spaces, pointing out that the World Bank aspires to convert any project into a larger block, and that taking advantage of this opportunity is the responsibility of the government. Exchange rate. Guys, this is where they're going to show you that when they're talking about changing the exchange rate, they mean increase, not decrease. He pointed out that changing the exchange rate aims to give the state the ability to increase its revenues, okay? Especially since the sale of oil in hard currency and converting it into the reality of the Iraq dinar gives financial mass that allows it to actually increase revenues and reduce the deficit, noting that changing the exchange rate may allow import abroad from abroad because the domestic product becomes cheaper, okay, than what is imported from neighboring countries. So, and the only way they could increase the revenue, guys, is for the currency to have a higher value. That way, if they keep the exchange rate lower, imports are going to cost more. If they increase the exchange rate, imports cost less because the currency would have a higher value. So that's more proof right there. They're talking about increasing the rate versus decreasing. Okay. He explained that the strategic objective of changing the exchange rate is to work to strengthen the local product and local industries to be able to face the external product, reinforced by measures to protect the product. He stressed the need to address the increase in prices and the seriousness of inflation. Let's stop right there. What have I told you guys? This all boils down to inflation. And now they're telling you right here in the highlighted blue section, he stressed the need to address the increase in prices and the seriousness of inflation. Remember I told you that all these BS articles that you were hearing other different people share with you, okay, talking about how the dollar exchange rate would be high for like 3 years, and another one shared with you guys that the dollar exchange rate might even go up to 5,000 dinar per dollar. Remember I told you that was all BS, and because this has to remain short term, and it is short term because it's nothing more than a 90-day tool, okay, to reduce the note counting country before they change the rate. Boom, there you go. I put a big emphasis on the last video I did for you guys before this. It boils down to inflation, and they're telling you right here. He stressed the need to address the increase in prices and the seriousness of inflation, guys. That's why, again, more proof that what they did with the exchange rate on December 20th is just a short-term step, because this all boils down to inflation, just like I told you and now that they're telling you. And focus on projects that actually allow facing the social distress of the poor. And that was one of the other things I raised to you, because in the last video I said this tremendously impacts, having the low rate drastically impacts the citizens. So again, because of how the low rate impacts the citizens and spikes the inflation, it can only be short term. They're just reiterating what I've said, and they're revealing it to you as I did. Okay, just more proof of exactly what I've told you. He continued that the idea of raising the price of the dollar and international policy, remember I told you guys that raising the dollar was at the request of the IMF and the World Bank, because again, it's a preparation step for the rate change. It's a 90-day tool. They just told you that right here. He continued that the idea of raising the dollar is an internal policy shared, okay, by the Ministry of Finance, Minister of Planning, and the Iraqi government, okay? So again, right here, and it says especially the International Monetary Fund. So again, right here, the idea of raising the dollar, okay, is an international policy, and right here they tell you especially the International Monetary Fund. So they're telling you even this was at the guidance and request of the IMF and the World Bank. There's more proof. Everything I shared with you guys just keeps getting confirmed and proven, okay? Explaining that Iraq is now the plight of the financial deficit. It has nothing but borrowing, either internally or externally, indicating that the internal borrowing threatens the reserves of the central bank, just as using it to fill the deficit removes the possibility of the investment with the productive opportunities that allow the development of the private sector, while external borrowing has its components and conditions that are based on debt, sustainability, subsequent repayment capabilities, financial and monetary stability. The financial engineering must be looked at in an integrated manner from which one can consider lowering the exchange rate. The World Bank determines the size of its financial portfolio in Iraq and unveils a global initiative to recover smuggled funds. The World Bank announces its support reforming the Iraq economy. So on this one, the World Bank announced that it supports reforms to revive the Iraqi economy and solve its structural problems. The representative of the World Bank mission in Iraq, during a meeting, Chairman Committee of the Finance Parliamentary and the World Bank supports the reform process to revive the Iraqi economy and solving structural problems, stressing at the same time, regained the bank to support investment development Iraq projects. On the other hand, the head of the Parliamentary Finance Committee said the Finance Committee had a big challenge in the budget, represented the huge deficit and tremendous growth in expenditures without actual reform measures, indicating that the committee included many reform measures. Remember, reforms can only come with the rate change, guys. Reform measures in rearranging the budget, formulating with an economic view that reduces pressure on oil revenues by supporting the non-oil resources such as border crossings, tax collection, okay, and private sector support to stimulate the Iraqi economy. And guys, really the main tax collecting, they already do have active taxes in the country, but because most of the citizens are poor, and guys, a really good friend of mine actually works with a gentleman from Iraq, Okay, and one of the things he shared with my close friend is that, and this guy's about 30 years old. He left Iraq, but he's been gone from the country for about 10 years now. But one of the things he stressed to my friend was this. He said in Iraq there aren't any jobs. He said the only way to get jobs is really to work for the government. So they really don't have a lot of jobs there. That's why they're trying to build and promote and launch a market economy so they can bring in investment, and with investment it will expand their jobs. Okay? So right now the next big step on tax collection is going to be individual taxes. That's why you've seen some articles recently talking about a salary reduction. They don't really mean reducing their pay scale. What they mean by salary reduction is implementing taxes, and then when they tax the citizens, they actually take home less money. That's the salary reduction they're talking about is through taxation. Okay? So, and that's really what they're stressing here. They haven't been taxing the citizens per se, because I actually know a CPA that has some Iraqi, husband and wife Iraqi customers who just in the last few years told them that within the country of Iraq individuals don't have to pay taxes right now in the country of Iraq, and that's because they just don't have a lot of jobs, and if they tax the citizens, that would drastically impact them. Okay, but that's going forward. They're going to implement individual taxes. Okay, starting with the 21 budget. So as you see right here, they just stressed to you that let me go back to that. I'll go right back to it. It says here that the 21 budget will have many reform measures, rearranging the budget. Okay, and it's going to implement revenues from border crossings, tax collection, and private sector support. Guys, all of that, they're telling you all of that has to do with the reforms, which is also the rate change. They're telling you right there that the 21 budget has everything to do with the reforms and the rate change, okay? The British ambassador, Al-Kazemi, has an opportunity to implement economic reforms, and we did not consider closing our embassy in Baghdad. So as you guys see, let's just look at the highlights, guys. We don't need to tear into this article and read every aspect of it. It basically says, agreement with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to support economic reforms. That's what I've put a stress on to you, is that since they devalued the currency on December 20th, the World Bank and the IMF have been putting a big emphasis on Iraq, guys, to bring forth this rate change, get the reforms going, and improve Iraq's economy. That's what this is all about, is launching Iraq's economy along with the rate change, because again, they have achieved stability. Al-Kazemi has an opportunity to achieve economic reforms. Again, opportunity to achieve desired economic reforms. That's what this whole thing's about, guys, okay? We're not going to read this whole article. There's no need. It's a long freaking article anyway. With full powers, a Kurdish delegation will visit Baghdad tomorrow to agree on the budget. They're saying that, guys, but let's talk for a second. I actually saw this article's from yesterday. I saw an article already from today. First off, Iraq has not put out their agenda for tomorrow's session of Parliament. Okay? So because they have not put out tomorrow's agenda means there's a good chance they might not be voting on the budget tomorrow, Monday, like they've said in a few articles. But I also saw an article today that said they most likely won't be approving the budget until the end of next week. Okay? So again, we will see. Okay, we will see. I've pretty much told you they're going to get it done by mid-February. But again, they don't need it done really until the end of February anyway, in preparation for March. Okay, and as you guys see, Iraq is in no rush to do anything, and that's why they didn't even launch the reforms, the implementation of the reforms, guys. They structured that for their Q4 year of 2020. Okay, so again, they told you that through the borrowing law. They told you through the borrowing law that the reforms were slated to be implemented during their Q4 period of their fiscal year or budget year of 2020. Okay, that's why they did not implement the reforms till basically December 20th, which is theoretically January. Okay, so there you go, more proof. Okay, so but again, they don't need this budget until really prepared for March, so they can change the rate in March, like they've told you. Okay. So Kurdish delegation will visit Baghdad tomorrow, Sunday, to resolve issuing and fixing the Kurdistan share of the 21 budget. Okay, this is not an important article, guys. The House of Representatives has fully completed the draft budget bill in 21. The project will be presented to the political forces within the next 2 days to take final opinion. So they're saying that they're still going to work on it even during the next 2 days. So that's past Monday. Okay. So I don't know. We'll see here. What they did was they had to amend the budget. That's why Kurdistan had to kind of get involved for approvals because it was amended. The price of a barrel was raised from $42 to $45 a barrel. That was the big amendment to it. So they need the Kurdistan approval on that, on all the amendments to it. Okay, and it said, okay, Parliamentary Finance meets with officials from the World Bank. There you go, just more articles telling you about how Iraq is meeting with the World Bank. Okay, the Finance Committee held this meeting with officials from the World Bank. The Information Department of the House of Representatives stated that the Finance Committee held its 35th meeting, which it continues discussion on the draft federal budget for 21, during which it reviews the results of the subcommittee's meetings with ministries, government. She stated within the committee's agenda is to host officials from the World Bank. So as you guys see, in the past with their budgets, guys, they've never really had the World Bank and the IMF involved with budgets. The reason that they have the World Bank involved with this one, guys, think about this carefully. It's because this budget is now linked to the rate change. Okay, and it has reforms in it, which the World Bank has financed. Because they finance the reforms, they need to monitor what happens in Iraq financially, because they have a vested interest because they have financed the reforms. But again, that's just more confirmation, because remember, guys, these payments can only be paid back to the World Bank with internationally recognized currency. So this is just more proof that the 21 budget is indeed married to the rate change. Okay. It doesn't contain a rate at all. It's married to the rate change in the sense that the budget itself will be calculated off the rate change. Okay, Parliamentary Finance, the budget will be ready for next Monday. We'll see on that. Next Monday means tomorrow. We'll see. I disagree because they haven't even put out tomorrow's agenda, telling you they're going to vote on the budget tomorrow. Okay, and like I said, another article came, and they're kind of showing you how they might need a little more time throughout this week. So we'll see. One article today said that they might do the budget at the end of next week, maybe Saturday. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So there you guys go. Great articles. More confirmation that the rate change is indeed kind of married to the fiscal budget year of 21. And guys, they're pretty much, they've already given you the RV date, guys. I don't even have to tell you because they gave it to you. They gave it to you through the when they devalued the currency. That was nothing more than a 90-day tool, and I showed you an article showing you that every step they did was at the request of the World Bank and the IMF. It wasn't Iraq's creation. It was a request from the World Bank and the IMF, because right now both the World Bank and the IMF have a vested interest in Iraq. They are financing part of the reforms for Iraq, so they have a vested interest, and they're monitoring what happens in Iraq financially. Okay, they're kind of their financial guidance counselor right now, and that's what you're seeing. That's why they are showing a large presence in the country of Iraq. Don't forget, guys, after the rate change, I got a lot of things I'd like to do with you guys. If any of you guys currently are working with real estate, you know, if you're doing real estate in the area you live, hey, I'd like to talk to you. You guys can see my phone number in the bottom left corner. I'd love to work with you guys, see what you got going on in the area of where you live. Again, we can get into real estate investments where you're at. We can write loans on real estate and do real estate lending. There's a lot of things we could do. If you guys have a booming area around a college where you have apartments, apartments are always a great way to go with real estate investments. If you buy it at the right price, you can make a killing off of apartment complexes near colleges and universities. So anyway, guys, there's a lot we can do together. I would love to partner with you guys long term. Let's talk. Reach out. Hey, you guys are the best. God bless you guys, and take care and have a great evening.